Oh, well, okay. I just realized that was hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in, welcome into another glorious, beautiful, beautiful peak cinema, absolute, whatever. Throw up your hands. It's do the thing, cinema. It's welcome once again to another edition, and hopefully one that will not get strucken down of the Kamen Rider ZEZTZ-udan. How's everyone doing today? We are 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes away from episode 4, simply titled Rob, which is hilarious. It's called that, and then we're dealing with a wedding. But I guess it says like, oh, they're trying to steal the bride. Yeah, like, pretty much. But anyway, I am hyped. We are in for another night of peak. I want to believe tonight will be peak because we're 4 episodes in. We got to be getting our OP today, right? We got to be getting our intro theme. This is gonna be exciting. Hello, Tad official. Welcome in. Welcome in. Uh, oh, chat is not showing up on screen. Well, it'll show up in the cinema screen. It'll show up in the cinema screen. But don't worry about it. But because I didn't plan to start on this screen, but I figure it would be good if y'all could see me before we go into the cinema and you just see a silhouette when we MST3K it. But we are in for a hella good episode today. I'm actually having way more fun with these live reacts here on YouTube than I thought I would, because it's always great to see like people's speculations and people's theories in the comments and things of that sort. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about it. I was given a copyright strike earlier this week. Not even earlier this week, just a couple of days ago. I was copyright struck by Toei for episode 2, which was fully showing the episode despite the fact that there was no audio. And because of that, it was unfortunately removed. Luckily, I did. This was that particular episode. I did stream to Twitch, so I do have a VOD copy of that and episode 1. So just to cover my bases, I privated episode 1, and I'll be re-uploading episodes 1 and 2 with blurs over the content. Um, at a later date. But those episodes will be coming back, so don't worry about the fact that it starts at episode 3. No, there was an episode 1 and 2. It's just I need to edit those. But that being said, that's not going to deter us today. We are still going to proceed with today's live reaction, so hopefully you guys will chill for that. However, to ensure that we are not copyright stricken into oblivion going forward, I tested this out with Gozuger back on last Sunday. But the video itself that'll be on the feed will be blurred out for copyright reasons. So I do apologize if you guys thought you could like, oh, listen to my live rec and watch the video. Unfortunately, that will not be the case. It will be blurred out. However, I do encourage you to please watch the simulcast, have that open in a background, or just go watch that and then come back here for the discussion. I believe the numbers would benefit Toei a lot more than me taking away from them so you guys can watch it through me. No, so by all means, if you haven't already, I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat. But by all means, please go watch this. Please have that video up and on your browsers in another tab, or just you can leave the stream. I don't mind if you're not here right now, but I would love it if you would at least come back for the discussion, the post-show discussion. So please, by all means, go ahead and do that. It would mean a lot to me, regardless, because I would much rather, again, and I've said this on previous installments of the ZEZTZ-udan, I would much rather you gave Toei and Tokusatsu those streaming numbers than give them to me for the time of the episode. But when the show's over, when the episode is over, by all means come back here and we can dissect it, throw out our theories. By all means, please, 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 please. That would mean a lot to me if you guys could just go ahead and do that. But I will still be giving my reactions so people can actually like come back and watch the reactions. We are 5 minutes away. I will be doing so. Basically, we've taken some measures to make sure that we are not strucken down. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and hop over to our viewing room. Let's go ahead and do that right now. All right. So here we are in our viewing. As you can see, the feed for the video has been blurred out for copyright reasons. You can kind of see what's going on, but because it'll be blurred, Toei cannot copyright me out of existence. So hopefully this will mitigate anything. I did also get dinged for having the intro or having visions playing, but it did not block the video. So it should not affect. It won't affect the video. People will still be able to see it. Plus, I'm not monetized, so I'm not making money off of this at all. So it's not like I'm going to be missing out on, like monetary gain or anything for this, because at the end of the day, I'm doing it for the love of Toku. I'm doing it to spread the word of the writer to the masses. That's what we do here. So ultimately, it's just a live reaction and then a following discussion. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. But by all means, if you haven't already, go watch the main simulcast, and you can either have me in the background to have like a backtrack, or just leave this stream altogether, go watch that, and then come back here. It would mean it's I would much rather prefer either or. If you have me on during the stream, uh, by all means, the fact that you'd like to compromise the first watch experience with my voice in the background is nothing short of commendable. But I would also prefer, I wouldn't mind at all if you just fully left the stream, watch the episode, and then come back. By all means, I wouldn't mind that at all. But oh man, we are in for a treat today. We are in for a treat. So we have already established in the first 3 episodes what pretty much the whole dealio of what ZEZTZ-udan's whole thing is, code and all of that. We've knocked out all that stuff. So now it's the aftermath. Is the PAD still going to be around? What's going on with NEM? What is code's whole deal? Do we learn more about how they come to be or things of that sort? Like, what do we learn now? If anything, now it's, from what we can gather from the preview, it's now that he understands his mission, it's now about getting Baku to kind of embrace that he is a secret agent and to become a great secret agent. That's what I gather from that. That's what I get from that. Is that now that we've told the story of what the nightmares are and what happens when we get into the real world, now we start telling the story of how Baku becomes a better secret agent. That's my thought on the that's my thought on it. I do believe that now it's going to be like a personal growth story for Baku. I think it's going to be a more personal thing, but I think we now need to I think they need to start throwing in little bits and pieces of what Nox's whole deal is, because as some people are already starting to speculate, they think Nox is a disgraced code agent. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but but it would be an interesting wrinkle. Plus, it would play a lot into like the secret agent thing. Like if you watch GoldenEye, literally the biggest crux of GoldenEye was that Trevelyan was a double agent, right? So you could make a case that maybe Nox is a double agent, but it also could be he's a disgraced agent. He was let go of the organization, not that he's like still working for code or whatever, because like right now we don't know what his thing is other than he's probably the main bad guy. That's all we know. But there's been a lot of theories, and I love reading the theories. I love seeing the theories. Like to me, that's what I live for, is those theories. So it's like getting to read those is like super crazy, and I love it because it's me seeing what people are speculating and then being able to throw in my 2 cents. It's always a fun time. But enough about that. We are 30 seconds away. We are 30 seconds away, and I am ready. What do you got for us today, Ziz? And then there's an additional 30 seconds, but you know what? Yeah. All right. Everybody get ready. If you don't have the stream, it's the pinned comment, so you can pull up, watch the simulcast. It is the official simulcast. Have me on in the background or don't, but I would much rather if y'all, but, it is what it is. So, oh, my screen shut off. What the heck? That was weird. Wait! Why does it say live in 37 minutes? What the fuck? I had to refresh. It's being weird. Here. Okay, stream's up. Just waiting for the countdown. Here we go, baby. Actually, I'll mute this part. Hold on. Oh, it is muted. Okay, never mind. Come on, countdown, baby. Up in the air. Bumper. Is that a separate video now? Why does that say bumper right there? All right, here we go. His name is Yorozubaku. He's doing the recap. Hell yeah. But even in the waking world, he found you must infiltrate people's dreams and stop their nightmares. Once the nightmare has opened all the mind's doors, the dreamer will be trapped in their bad dream forever. It's crazy that now we know that he henshins in real life. That's crazy. But they really... Okay, right there. Setting the doubt. He's doubting himself. Protect the VIP bride.
Protect the VIP bride.
Hell yeah. Hold on, do I need to change that back? I think I need to change that back. I think it's still set to Twitch. Hold on. Good luck.
Good luck.
Nice. Because now I'm just realizing. Stream. I really should make like a separate chat, but it is what it is.
I'm on it.
He's on it, baby! Let's go! Quoth the Raven. We already know he's the priest. Yep, there he goes. There he is. There's the priest. The cowlick is just... that's where your eye goes every time. Alright, when does it kick in? Do they really need to be wearing the tux and the dress for the rehearsal? That's what I find odd. There he is. He's walking up. He's walking up. What is he holding in his hand? There was like it's a metal piece. Oh, that's a ring. The hell? He's wearing it with the thing inside his palm. What is that? Intro. Here we go. OP, baby. Oh, that is baller. Nice. Oh, that is so beautiful. We're definitely playing the Inception shit. Wow. This is trippy. What am I looking at? Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, that is so cool. This is so trippy. They are leaning hard into the Inception shit. Wow. This is insane. That is... Oh, I love it. I love it. The ending is just him walking towards us. That is some aura farming at its finest. That is some aura firing at its finest.
びっくりした。
また会いましたね。今日は牧師さんですか。
He's a man of the cloth.
ネムちゃんは
ウェディングプランナーです。
Okay, come on. She has to be an agent. She has to be.
結婚式っていいですよね。関わる人みんなが幸せに
Like, they have...
そんな記念日に立ち会えて
Because here's the thing.
嬉しいです。
It's starting to be like, oh, now they realize, oh, he's a priest.
セブンは
Oh.
セブンは今日も任務ですか。
ああ。要人警護で花嫁を守ってる。
あ
I got sidetracked by that.
あ。
That threw me off a little bit.
現職の朝宮外務大臣ですもんね。
そんな大物の娘を狙う奴がいるとすれば。まさかナイトメアが。
Oh, already with the insert? We're already in there?
離れて。誰だ。朝宮外務大臣の対立派閥か。
Oh, wow, this is a political thing now. What?
幼馴染です。
幼馴染。意外な資格だな。浮いてくれ。みゆきは俺が連れて帰る。
Oh, he's not even gonna hench him. He's just gonna knock him the fuck out. He's gonna knock him the fuck out. Go! The knife broke. Or he's gonna break it. Oh! Okay, twist I wasn't expecting. That's one way to do a knee to the back of the head.
あなたには誇り一つつけさせない。
やるな、牧師さん。
あんたが夢主か。
Wait.
なぜ悪を願う願う。
Whoa, why is it warping? Why is it warping? Oh, he's waking up.
まさか。
Wait. Okay, it just waltzes right in.
Good morning, Seven.
Again with the fealty.
ミッションの進捗は
まだナイトメアは現れていませんが、夢主と思われる人を突き止めました。
花嫁を狙う人物か。
はい。花嫁の幼馴染らしいです。
らしい。
It's seen. Oh.
つまり君の知らない人間か。だとすれば、爆弾魔事件の感染者の一人だろう。
Oh!
感染？何のことですか？
先日、爆弾魔を止められずにナイトメアが現実に出現してしまったことで、悪夢の感染被害が拡大した。
Oh, so now, okay, so this they're selling it. It's a
空
disease.
と音を体験しただろう。あれで
Thank you for following through. Thank you for the continuity.
感染者が爆発的に増えてしまったんだよ。
俺が爆弾魔を止められなかったせいで。本当に。
Self-doubt. Here we go. Self-doubt. Self-doubt.
ただの夢だと思っていたうちは良かったけど、それが現実となると不安で。
He's
君
doubting
はすで
himself.
に夢を叶えたんだ。
Oh, Zero has full faith in him. Zero has full faith. You can tell.
潜入カメラと警戒センサ
Here we go.
ー、
Spy
爆発機の
gadgets.
ID、ミッションに役立つエージェントアイテム、ZEZTZギアだ。それにカプセルだってある。
カプセル。
I love there. I love. This is how we. Now you're explaining the concepts, and I like this. The items.
見たことないやつだ。
Wing.
ウィングは空を飛ぶ力。ストリームは大気を操る力。
And here we have the first blue power up.
Give it to me.
Okay. You started to understand some English, but not all of it.
あらゆる条件は整っている。あとは君の心一つで本物のエージェントになれるんだよ。
See, I like that Zero has full faith in him. Because that's what you need to do when you have a friend that's doubting. Full faith. You can't doubt. You gotta give them everything. Because if you show that even you are doubting them, it furthers the doubt in their head.
あれだけの規模にもかかわらず爆破の原因が解明できていない。開示課の君たちが真相を突き止めるんだ。
しかし開示課はすでに解体されたのでは。
あ
あ。Huh?
だから非公式で動いてもらう。
In an unofficial capacity,
今
huh?
後ブラックケースと思われる事件の情報が入ったら逐一そっちに回す。
全ての原因はナイトメアに違いありません。
君がそう信じるならばそれが事実であるという証拠をつかめ。いいな。
Okay, so they're working in an unofficial capacity. Naguma, this is looking at him like, bitch, you crazy. Your sister's showing you up, man. Come on, run faster. So they're not an official government department anymore. But it's like under the table work. So it still saves the taxpayers money. But it's just under the thing. Watching the official, but you were right. You'll be back there. You were right, Scruffin. Yes, you were, and I will grant you that 100%.
いやいやいや、その就職ミッションね。嘘。
Huh? Elderly woman?
おばあちゃん。
Yeah, that's not gonna help you, man.
誰かを助けたいなら夢の中だけにして。じゃないとまた大怪我するよ。
ごめん。
Yeah, you're not helping, bitch. You're not helping.
大丈夫です。行きます。ゆっくりで大丈夫。もうちょっと。
あの人。
Oh.
ありがとうございま
Don't
す。
don't walk up to him. Don't walk up to him.
気をつけてくださいね。
夢主は一見いい人そうだけど。
Yep. That doesn't
うわ
track.
南、俺行かなきゃ。
どこ行くの？
Sir. You're not okay. What are you fuck are you doing? Nem on the wall, Nem on the wall.
結婚決まったんだろ。朝宮外務大臣の娘。あ。
Okay, that dude.
うん、食え。
The guy that's talking is like stereotypical like
さあ、宝田財閥の
stereotypical fucking
お
like
前に勝ち目ない。
big friend. Like he's the big dude. He's like the friend, you know. Like he's not the greatest looker, but like you know, he's the guy that like moves the plot along, right?
お前とは住む世界が違うんだよ。いいか、初恋の幼馴染を忘れられないって聞こえはいいけどさ、一途な男とストーカーは紙一重だからな。
Ah, stalker.
夢主の名前は一平。護衛大将の花嫁朝宮みゆきさんとは近所の幼馴染でずっとみゆきさんに思いを寄せていたようです。だから花嫁を略奪する夢を見ているのかもしれません。
なるほど。
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting him to fucking. I wasn't expecting him to like go full in, but he did it. Fucking hell.
関係者の情報収集は立派なエージェントの仕事だ。
I love how they even translated the graphic right there. That's
だからエ
amazing.
ージェントを務めてきたんだ。その経験が現実でも生きているのさ。
Hmm. Oh.
本当に俺がエージェントに。
さあ夜が来るぞ。万が一花嫁略奪の悪夢が叶ってしまったら夢主の身に危険が及ぶ。
Up, stakes, 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 baby, stakes. Just hugging the driver for dear life. Not for dear life, but he's hugging it like a goddamn plushie or something. It looks almost like a security item. Ooh, he just sat up in a pew.
ネムちゃん、おやすみ。
あ、おやす
Wait, what the fuck?
み。もうすぐ結婚式始まりますよ。寝癖直して。
Why does that stick with him? That needs to be
ちょう
explained.
どスタンバイをしてもらうところ。
いよいよか。
All right. The wedding is about to get underway, baby.
綺麗。
ありがとう。世界一可愛いネムちゃんにそう言ってもらえて。
Plot twist. The bride is the one having the dream. The bride is the one having the dream and is hoping for her friend to kidnap her. Which is weird, but not out of the realm of possibility. That's what I think. She's the one having the dream. I think it's a misdirect.
なんとしても守らないと。
I genuinely believe it's a misdirect.
誰にもありませんもんね。
If you look at how she was reacting at the start,
避難誘導
and how she just did that whole thing with the mirror and everything, I think she's the actual dreamer and Baku got a misread. I genuinely believe there's a misdirect here. The friend is not the dreamer, it's the bride. That's what I want to believe. It's a trust. It's a twist. I could be wrong though. I will if I am wrong, I will gladly eat my words, but I want to believe that if we're going full Inception, there's going to be twists and turns. It's never going to be a straightforward answer. That's what I want to believe. If anything, it could be possibly the misread could possibly be what triggers it because she wants her friend to kidnap her, but if Baku stops it, it engages the nightmare. That's what I could be wrong though. Maybe my fantasy brain is just going out there, but that's what I want to believe. Ah, the smile could be a misdirect. Could be a misdirect. Oh! Run. The nightmare hath arrived.
ナイトメア。
皆さん、入り口から離れて、早く。
Pandemonium! Ah, bride down, bride down! Black Hawk down, motherfucker, Black Hawk down!
そこをどけ花嫁は連れて行く。
Yep, he's sensing something.
Protect the VIP bride. それが俺のミッションだ。
Hit it, baby! Hit it! Impact! I'm on it. Hishin!
変身。
Rider! Let's go, baby. Let's go. I love how everyone just waits while his helmet fills up. Here we go, baby. So, and see, here's the thing. The friend didn't come in. The friend didn't come in. Instead, the nightmare did. Which leads me to believe, which I think furthers my theory that this is actually the bride's dream. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't going to work. Which, now that I think about it, looking back at last week, not much of a theory at all, because we kind of already knew, but still. Oh.
礼拝堂に大量のカラスの羽か。このブラックケース、ナイトメアの予兆かもしれない。
Nagumo, don't say anything.
仮にそうだとして、
Oh.
我々はどうすれば。
Perfect question.
手がかりならある。ヨロスバグだ。
Nope, wrong lead, brother. Well, maybe, actually, no, maybe it's the right lead. Just, I don't think it's going to pan out the way you think it does. Wait, what? Oh, burp. Burp. Sir, you have a new capsule. Use it. Wait, what? Oh, shit. Catch her! Catch her, man! Yep, this is her. Yep. This is her mine. Can he force a door shut? That's what I wanted to love to know. How, can he force a door shut? Rider! Oh, the fucking wings, bro. It's a fucking cape. Wait, how come only you... Well, it's her dream, so, yeah. Yeah. Wait, why? I just realized his legs are were silver in that shot. What the hell? Yeah, his legs are silver. This is probably a bigger nod to... This is like a... Oh, God, if I could see his legs. Dude. Sir? What are you doing? Only... Yeah, see? Piecing it together. It's the bride's dream. See, there it is! It clicked! It clicked! Wait, maybe I'm misreading it. Dude, now's not the time! Oh wait, yes it is. It's the end of the episode. Yep, I called it.
あなたがこんな悪夢を願っていたとはね。
私の人生を変えてしまったんです。
夢でそれを突き止めるのが君の務めだろ。
俺は正真正銘コードナンバー7だ。
That is amazing. That is amazing. Okay, you know what? That was good. That was good. All right, I'm gonna mute this because I need to get my thoughts. Let's move back over to the just chatting room, folks, and let's get our affairs in order here. Let's go ahead and do that. Bam. All right. So, I love that I was piecing that together as I went, and I think I'm not gonna say that's a Takahashi trademark, but like, I will say Takahashi's really good at, you know, he's really good at like doing shit to keep you invested. That's what I genuinely believe. So I love how like the episode started by making you forget about what we saw last episode about the eyes, right? It threw in a misdirect by making you think that that by let me piece this together better. It threw in a misdirect by making you think that the what we saw at the end of episode 3 with the female eyes suddenly having the purple aura, it did a really good job of making you not even think about that by explaining that when the nightmare came out, everyone got infected. Like the bad dream was like a disease. So that didn't necessarily mean that the female eyes that we saw could be the female dreamer. It was a classic misdirect, especially when you establish already so early that it was the childhood friend of the bride, the one attacking, right? So it made us misdirect by actually thinking that, yeah, it was the childhood friend that was the one who was dreaming of this because he wanted to save his friend, right? His childhood friend, because apparently he has feelings for her, right? It isn't until the things start moving, the wheels start a turning, that people start realize that like the pieces start falling into place, right? Because something feels a little off right after Baku tails. How you doing, Scruffin? It because then things start feeling off the minute Baku gets that IRL intel that like that the childhood friend has feelings for her, right? Once he gets that information, like we already know this, but once he gets that information, and then they start piecing together that he could be the dreamer, that's when things start falling out of place. When Baku stops stops the friend from attacking the bride in the first one, you could see there was a little bit of doubt, but you never cross that because, again, everything keeps pointing to the friend. And then as time goes along, all of a sudden, now we're struck with something feels off. The minute the bride looks at her reflection in the mirror and like puts her hand on it, something's wrong, right? That's when you start having doubts. And then as time goes along, the friend is not the one who charges in, the nightmare immediately charges in. So then immediately you have this whole thing where you start to wonder, are they in the wrong? And then the repercussions of what could happen if they're wrong, because as a secret agent, if you fuck up, shit's wrong. Like, you're fucked. We're having another IRL situation, man. And you could already tell that, like, he is trying to do the best he can. The nightmare showed up from a different direction. Exactly. Because the friend was still hanging out outside the gate. The nightmare came in from above. So at that point, there's something wrong, right? Because at this point, the nightmare is no longer like feeding into the narrative like Fujimi did. The nightmare. I think the guy and the nightmare connected because they come from the same desire. I don't think it works like that, right? I believe that while it is the same desire, I don't think that person's an external desire would play an effect would affect the other person's dream in any way, shape, or form, unless of course there's direct contact. And by the sound of it, the way they described it, he has not directly interacted with her in a while. Like, they have not had any direct interaction in some time because she is literally the daughter of a minister, of the minister of I didn't hear what department he manages, but he of a minister, of like the prime minister, I think it was. So because she's the daughter of a high-ranking official, obviously she's in a different world than him. They only grew up together, close to each other. They did not they were childhood friends, and he fell in love with the childhood friend. But their paths went different ways, so I don't think there's been a constant interaction between the two. So I don't think that there's been any direct involvement by the childhood friend. I do believe this is all in the bride's mind. This is all in the bride's mind. This is all her. And that being said, they did a wonderful job of misdirecting us because, again, when we get the intel that states that, yeah, he has a credible threat. He is very much credible to be the Nightmare because again, childhood friend can't get her out of her mind, can't get her out of his mind. Literally sets it up for, okay, this guy is the guy, right? But immediately things don't start falling into place the minute the Nightmare shows up. And then once you see that she's the only one that falls out the window, at that point it clicks for the viewer, and then you see, and then at that point it's us enjoying seeing the wheels turn in Baku's head as he starts piecing things together, which I think is a real cool dynamic. Because here's the thing, normally, like, I don't think like this very much feels like he's a secret agent, but there feels like there's detective aspects to it, which is not something I got from Double. And let me explain what I mean by that. I watched Double. He is a knight in shining armor who was going to save her from the wedding, but Baku showed up and stopped him from doing that, so it escalated to her actual nightmare. Yeah, you know what? No, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that 100%. But here's the thing. In it, and you know what? It actually did kind of play back into the whole narrative of him being unlucky, kind of thrown back into it, but it was kind of done in a way where even we as viewers didn't understand it, right? Like, my whole dealio is, like, in his mind, he thought he was helping the bride. Wait, your comment disappeared? I didn't do that. I can tell you straight up, I didn't do that. Why does it say message retracted? Yeah, I didn't do that. I don't know what that is. I don't even have mods, so I don't know why it did that. That's weird. But I did see your message. And it is on screen. So don't worry about it. There are no banned. I don't even have banned words. I don't know what it is. Oh, you think you deleted it by accident? Don't worry. It's on the VOD, so people. It's on the video, so people will see it. People will see it. But I digress. So yeah, it is definitely her desires that her friend would take her away from this, and Baku helped her, but his bad luck kind of fucked it up. But I feel like in dreams, his bad luck is more subtle. In the real world, his dreams are like so like hammered in, like almost forced in, but not in like that weird way that like WWE tries to force a star down your throat. No, it's kind of forced as in like it's extreme, right? In the dreams, his bad luck is kind of more subtle. In real world, in a real world, it's a literal object falling from the sky. Was it his bad luck that pointed him in the wrong direction? Not necessarily. It was more his actions because he misinterpreted, right? Because in his mind, he thought he was doing the right thing, right? Because if we're going with the logic that yes, that he stopped his friend from interfering with the wedding, and that furthered it, in a sense, his actions kind of was like the unlucky bit because he kind of fucked it up, but he didn't know that he fucked it up. So in my mind, it's literally, I thought basically he misdirected, right? He ended up misunderstanding what we had. He ended up misunderstanding the information, and because of that, ended up becoming that he pretty much fucked himself up. He fucked himself over. So in a sense, his bad luck in his dreams is more subtle, because at that point it's him making mistakes, and in a sense that is an extension of his bad luck. But in the real world, it just translates to fucking object lands on him, right? So in a sense, it manifests itself differently. But I do believe it's two sides of the same coin, which is bad luck, right? Because and that's gonna play, I think, into next episode, right? Not the whole bad lucking, but again the misdirect, because the fact that he misread that, it feels like an actual mystery with misdirections. Exactly. Well, you see, and that's the thing. We didn't. The detective Kamen Rider Double didn't give us this shit, right? Like every case that ever happened in Double was an open and shut case. Like there was no real misdirects. Like they would eventually figure out who it was, and then like fight the freaking dopants and fight the dopant of the day. There you go, problem solved. Zets feels like an actual detective story with like actual like red herrings, right? Like I feel like this is Takahashi saying, "This is what I would have done if I wrote Double." That's what it feels like. It feels like Yuya Takahashi said, "Okay, you gave me the secret agent. I'm going to stretch that a little bit. I'm going to play it as if what if I wrote Kamen Rider Double?" That's what I think Takahashi's doing here because again, it's actual misdirects. It's actually keeping the viewer on its toes and it rewards you when you get the answer before Baku does. And I think that's why I sat there like the entire time when I started piecing it together, I was saying it out loud. I was piecing together what was going on and then throwing out my own personal theories, right? So like, but ultimately, I came to the conclusion, no, this is the bride's dream because if you look at it from a different perspective, it tracks because again, look at the bride. Look how she reacted when Baku stopped her best friend's attack the first time. The second time, well, the way she's acting in the mirror, like she's so happy to be, but she's not. Like she feels like distant, lethargic. Like she is like something. You immediately feel like something's off, right? And then, like ultimately, it clicks the minute she falls out of the goddamn window when everyone else is just standing upside down like nothing happened. That's when it clicks. And then you feel it, and then you start getting excited when Baku's like starts putting the pieces together, and you'll be like, yeah, yes, I got it. Yeah. It rewards the viewer. It rewards the viewer for piecing it together and then seeing Baku come to the realization. I think that's what it is, and I feel like that is beautiful. I think that's beautiful. And hey, they made actual detectives plot important, and they know that to investigate more, they need Baku's help. Yes, but I will say about that like it kind of felt like weird that like immediately Fujimi immediately decided that's our lead, Baku, instead of thinking there could be another way to look at it. Like I feel like he's going to lean on Baku a little bit too much, which I don't think he should do because again, it I feel like at that point like I feel like but I do believe there is a case to be made now that like the PAD is working in an unofficial capacity that there may be a benefit to code kind of, kind of gaming the system. So they can kind of like make use of the PAD. So I believe there's a case to be made. Now I don't know if that's what's going to happen next episode, but I genuinely believe that there is a case to be made, right? Because the way they're operating right now, it's only going to serve to make the PAD look worse, right? And not in our eyes, not in the eyes of the viewer, not in the eyes of the viewer, but in story, it kind of validates the police chief's decision to disband a department if they can't come up with anything concrete. You know what I mean? It invalidates their whole thing. So in my eyes, I feel like the fact that he's still chasing the same loops might hurt their in-world standing. Obviously, as viewers, we love the fact that like, oh, we're just we're tying this in back with Baku because it makes him pretty much the center. And the intro, the OP, literally has them interacting like on a few occasions. So to me, it feels like and it looks like Baku was the first actual evidence of nightmares existing instead of a crackpot theory. He's the most connected to nightmares from shared dreams to his mysterious recovery and the Zets Trevor. The thing though is if he's going to be a true secret agent, he has to throw PAD off the scent, right? Secret identity and all that. Because as a secret agent, you can't have your identity be compromised. Because if they know what he is, he's kind of fucked. But then again, Baku didn't really do a lot to dissuade the theory. Because remember, who was the guy who who stood over Fujimi as he woke up? Yeah, he's not helping his case. He's genuinely not helping his case at all. Not helping it at all. So ultimately, like, yeah, he's not doing himself any. Which again, I think also will play into his subtle bad luck, right? Because in the moment he thinks, oh, he's just waking up. He's probably not even gonna believe. No, Fujimi's gonna lay on that. He's gonna lay on that for a hot minute. So, like, yeah. So it is. But again, it's bold of him to jump back on Baku as the lead. It's bold of him to do that. But I think that, like, if he leans too much into Baku as a sole lead, it hurts the PAD's image because again, it feels like he's spinning. It looks like from the other policeman's perspective, he's spinning his wheels. That's what it looks like. For what reason? I don't know how they'll spin it, but in their eyes, he's spinning his wheels and he's not actually producing anything of substance. So it needs to look like in world that he actually is competent. And right now, it's not really looking in world like he's competent. To us, we know he's competent. But if we're looking at it like this is actually happening, yeah, the detective's boss talked like they never had evidence for their theory, and now they aren't even an official department. I don't. Here's the thing: the way it was planted, it wasn't that. Well, actually, no. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because they didn't have evidence, ergo they didn't have results. So yeah, that's so. But he's still allowing them to investigate. So that begs the question of again. I guess like he disavows them, but at the same time, like, yeah, these black cases are now like ramping up. So to me, that's kind of the thing. Like, he's not confident in them, right? Because again, they're operating in an unofficial capacity, but he can acknowledge that something big is happening. Because again, with the explosions, there was no evidence of bombs or anything of the sort. They just happened. So ultimately, if he's going to keep, so his ultimatum, the ultimatum from the police chief was, if you truly believe this, I need evidence, right? So ultimately, this is going to be possibly, it's an uphill battle for him, but it's a battle that he's glad to take on, and I respect that. And I respect that. You know, follow your convictions and all that. But again, it kind of leads us into what do we think about next week? Next week is the big 5, is the big episode 5, which after the police department do up, there is no denying something super. His nightmare did do what he wanted. Yeah, but I don't think I don't think it's the way that he wanted it. If I'm theorizing here, my theory is that he wanted the department to be reinstated. But the fact that now he's acting in an unofficial capacity, that he's still, the division still kind of exists in an unofficial capacity. That's him taking what he can get, which is why he's happy. Because like, but I feel like if the department had been fully reinstated, he would have been happier. You know what I mean? But then again, that's just me inserting what I think, right? That's just my opinion, right? But ultimately, that kind of leads us into next week. So now we know, I think he wanted recognition that he was right. He hasn't gotten that recognition yet. He's still allowed to investigate it at an unofficial capacity, but the police chief still has his doubts. The police chief still has his doubts. And again, when he said it, he looked at him incredulously and he said, if you truly believe that, I need evidence. So at this point, it's not so much that he wants the chief to admit that he was right, as at this point that he needs to get the evidence to prove, he wants to prove that he's right. Right? So the fact that the police chief said, if you believe it, give me the evidence, the fact that Fujimi now feels like he has been given an opportunity to prove that he was right, yeah, like he's jumping at it. He's jumping at it. So right now, he literally only has that one lead. So he's working with that. But again, let's wrap this in a tight bow. Let's wrap this in a nice little bow. What do we think about next week? What do we think about next week? Because now we know it's the bride's dream. So now what happens? Because one, she's not. What we know from the preview is not a lot, but it looks like the bad dream. But they follow up with something from an episode that was Baku using capsims without the driver. Yeah, they did follow up on that. And I thought that was really cool because like he just found that out by chance that he could still use them without it, and now he's actively using them, which I thought was really cool. That's what I thought was awesome. The question is though, can he use those effects in real life? That's the question. If he were to roll that capsum in real life, does he suddenly become super jacked like me? Like that's the question. If he rolls that impact capsum in real life, does he get super jacked? I don't think he does, but it would be fun. It would be interesting if it did because that means that the spy tech that causes that actually works in real life, which would be amazing, especially if there's an invisible power up later on. Hopefully he will use that in real life. But that's something we can speculate. Hopefully that's something we see later. But here's the thing. Here's the one big thing I want to touch on this episode. The biggest misdirect that we got was that the wedding was part of the nightmare. Right? This is my big theory cutting into next week's episode. The entire premise of the wedding has nothing to do with the nightmare. Has nothing to do with her mind's doors at all. And I think you can follow me on this train of thought because guess what happened to open the door? Falling from a great height. And then you look at the tree, and you look at the preview, there was a dead tree in the preview. So for some reason, the wedding was a misdirect in and of itself. Her biggest fear is her fear of heights. So what will make the nightmare real? If she hits the fucking ground. That's why there's only 2 doors, because that's kind of like a cause and effect kind of thing, right? The first biggest fear is falling. The second biggest fear, the impact. The door opened because that was the first step of her escaping the wedding? I don't believe that. I genuinely do not believe that. Wait! Oh god, I just looked at the preview! No, okay. I just looked at the preview. The PAD make it into his base. Fujimi and Nagumo make it into Baku's secret base. Oh no. Okay, so they're going to be more intertwined than I think. Oh man. Okay, maybe it's a combo of these two things. Yeah, it could be, but I'm leaning toward it specifically being a fear of heights because there was, again, my theory is there's only 2 doors. There's only 2 mind doors that we could see. Now, if they show that there's additional ones, that'll throw my theory kind of out the window a little bit. But my theory is that the only thing that she fears is not the wedding. It's her fear of heights. Because again, she fell out the window. She fell, but she got caught. She didn't hit the ground. Had she hit the ground, the second door would have immediately opened up and the nightmare enters the real world. That is my working theory as of right now. That's what I think. Again, I'd love to hear everyone else's theories. Falling to her death is an escape of her wedding? I don't know if I buy that. Actually, I don't even know why I don't see that. That showed up in my... That's weird. It showed up in my... in the video chat, but I didn't see it here in the... That's super weird. Oh, it's because I set the top chat. Live chat, thank you. Falling to a death is an escape of her wedding. Now, you can make that argument, but I'm standing on business. Well, okay, maybe not on business, but I'm standing on my word, on my belief. And my belief is the wedding is a total misdirect in and of itself. It's just there because she's getting married in real life. Right? That's what I think. The wedding is only there as a backdrop because she's there in real life. Because if you look at the preview, there's a specific line that the bride says, it changed her entire life. I don't think it's meeting the dude that she's going to marry. And the fact that she's standing in front of a really big, really dead tree, I think that's literally she fell from that tree and almost died. So her biggest nightmare is her falling and then dying. That's what I think will open the door. If she hits the ground and dies in the dream, the nightmare takes over. That's what I believe. I believe the wedding has nothing to do with it. Okay? I'm not discounting your theory, Scruffin, by any means. There is a possibility that the wedding is still plays a role, right? But in my mind, I think the wedding in and of itself is a misdirect. That is my theory. But again, nightmares are kind of like a monkey's paw. Do the dreamers wish but make their life worse? That's what happened to the detective, and that's what's happening to her, and the nightmare kept talking, taking her away. Yeah. Because when you think about it, it's symbolism, right? At least if we're looking at Fujimi's. If we're looking at Fujimi's, no, here, okay. Okay, let me see if I can piece this. Okay, so if we're looking at Fujimi's case, right? I can't look at Baku's case because Baku is, like, super trippy. And, or maybe I can. It was real quick. But his whole deal, the whole thing was, but again, the symbolism in there was very Nightmare on Elm Street-ish. So it's like, I don't know if I can truly pick that apart because again, I feel like his story is not done. The story, his dream didn't tell the full story because his story is now ongoing. But my whole thing is the following. If we're looking at Fujimi-san's dream, Fujimi-san was whole deal wasn't so much. Actually, you know, we don't even know what his whole deal is. His dream's having a lot of gun stuff, maybe, but I don't think there's a direct correlation. But because again, let's look at Fujimi's dream. His whole dream was not because if you look directly at what he was doing, right? If you look directly at what Fujimi was doing, his whole dealio was wanting to catch Baku throughout that entire dream. Because in his mind, it wasn't. In his mind, the explosions were like a secondary thing. Even though if you looked at the posters, it said Baku was the one that caused the explosions, right? His whole thing was catching Baku. That was his whole thing. The dream never directly, like, hinted at the nightmare, right? Never directly hinted at the nightmare. As a matter of fact, the explosions happened, and the only explosion that Fujimi was there for was the last one because the door was that close to being opened. The last door was that close to being opened. So right after the cars blew up is when Fujimi shows up. Right? So and then actually no. Oh wait, no. No, 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 no. I just remembered this. It was a blink and you miss it thing. At the end of episode 2, when the camera is going around Baku and he's piecing it together, guess who shows up for a split second? Fujimi does. And he's there where the nightmare is, and then shortly after the nightmare explodes, and there goes the priest. Ah, okay. Okay, hold on. New evidence has gone into the court record. Hold on. So yeah, he did show up. So yeah. Huh. Though in this case it's kind of different because he was near when the explosions happened. And in that moment he was also listless when he showed up. The bride here is not listless. Like she has not been defeated because the whole point is he lost faith in the police department. That was the whole thing. He lost faith in the organization that, that he believed in. That was the whole thing. Right? So he unknowingly was doing these things. Was to be a respected police officer, catching Baku was the second data. Could be proof of the nightmares. Yeah. So in his mind, Baku was the proof. And that got twisted into destroying police for not respecting him. Okay, so the nightmare was taking his own interpretations. Thank you, Name. He was listless because the second door opened. Okay. Here's the thing. I believe the nightmare gets more power once one door opens, right? The first explosion, he was nowhere near it, right? He didn't show up until after the cars exploded. And if you missed it, it was never referenced in the show. But if you listen to the newscast at the start of episode 3, they also reference that the cars exploded in real life. So there was police cars exploding in real life, but that didn't happen until when that happened, the first door opened, which is why Fujimi was nowhere near it. But after that, there was an effect. There was a cause and effect, right? So once the first door opened, the nightmare is now exerting control over the dreamer. Because guess who shows up right before the second one goes off and blows up the precinct? Fujimi. And then when the third one opens, he's already in the pause, like he's mindless, right? He's gone. So when that door opened up, Bob's your uncle. So ultimately, once the first door opens, he already exerts a level of control over the dreamer. And with each additional door that opens, he exerts more and more control until he fully takes over the dream and the body. Also, Knox is a liar. He said that no one knows why nightmares are a certain way, but after a third door opens, he explains the nightmare. Did he? I don't remember him saying anything after the third door opened. I remember him just standing there and being, and now awakened to a nightmare. That's all I remember him doing. And then after that, at the end, he says he can't wait to. I vividly remember what he said. At the start of the episode, he said, "No one can understand the mind of the subconscious mind of a person, not even the person themselves." Then later on, he shows up and says, "And now awakened to a nightmare." And then at the end, he says, "He can't wait to twist this twisted world. Whose dream will I make reality next?" That's what he said. I don't think he vividly said anything. He never truly explained the nightmare. No, that wasn't Knox that explained it. It was Zero that explained that. Once they figured out the whole thing with the Maya's doors, like Zero was the one who explained to Baku that you had that basically that the doors hide the true wants, needs, emotions, the true feelings, the true everything of a person's subconscious. It was Zero who said that, not Knox. Zero said that. So ultimately, Knox is the I want to believe that Zero and Knox are like two sides of a coin, right? Zero is very much the guy who talks about that lets more experience of Zero bring previous Zets, honestly. Yeah, no, I could see it. If anything, what it says is that I think Zero and Knox are two-headed sides of the coin. Zero, it kind of like goes with the more scientific aspect of it, right? Well, I don't want to say scientific because a lot of this is kind of like dream bullshit, but Zero is pretty much the knowledgeable one. He kind of like goes with more hard fact. Goes with a little more hard fact with like the hard knowledge. And Knox kind of feeds off the unknown of the brain. He feeds off the unpredictability of the brain. So I believe like Zero deals with the hard facts of the brain, and Knox tries to harness the unknown of the brain. Because a lot of things, I will agree with Knox on one thing. The subconscious brain wants things, that does things that not even the conscious that the person, not even the person itself understands. Because I myself have had a lot of dreams that go against everything I believe in, and I wake up not understanding why. Right? So like it's kind of a weird thing. And I'm a very strong believer that your subconscious mind wants to kill you. And I know that sounds weird, but or maybe that's just maybe I just think that because I suffer from anxiety and depression, so I do believe that the unconscious mind is trying to kill you, kind of like that episode of like Rick and Morty, where like the night versions of themselves were trying to take over and shit, like that. Call of the Void is a thing, yeah. But like it's very much like that. Like I believe the unconscious mind is like a whole different entity altogether, and more often than not, for reasons that we don't understand, want strange things. For some people, like me, like again, because I say I suffer from anxiety and depression, um, my own conscious body me wants bad things. My unconscious mind wants bad things to happen to me. It's the weirdest thing. Like I swear my own brain is trying to kill myself, trying to make me, well, not make me, but it's trying to harm me. My own brain is trying to harm me in some way, shape, or form. That's the subconscious mind. Because again, that's not something I want. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to get hurt. But my subconscious mind is the one feeding me issues of, hey, yeah, a car is gonna run through the window and fucking run you over. Like, why? Why would my unconscious mind say that? Like, that's super weird, right? So, like, to me, it's like the subconscious mind just does the most random shit, which is what I agree with Knox with, because, again, the subconscious mind and just creates the most weirdest situations for you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we as people have no control over it. You know what I mean? Because to an extent, we can have some control over our dreams. And in the case of Baku, is Baku's bad luck related to this? Possibly. That's not where I was going with it, but we could probably come back to that. But my whole thing is that you can have some control over your dreams, even if it's not a lucid dream, right? There's still some control of your conscious brain, but it's not a lot, right? So the whole point of the dreams, and if I'm applying that logic to ZETZ, is that a lot of the things that we're seeing in the dreams are subconsciously not things that necessarily the dreamer wants, but the subconscious mind creates, right? Like I don't like if I'm gonna throw like a crazy theory possibly related to the episode out there, I don't think that subconsciously or consciously, I should say. I don't think that consciously what the bride wants. I think her name is Miyuki. I don't think Miyuki wants her friend to be the one to abduct her. I don't think that's what she wants, but her subconscious mind filled in that blank. Right? Because if you were thinking about it consciously, the last thing she would want is her friend to get in trouble. Right? She just wants to get out of it. I think she wants out of it, right? If we're assuming that she doesn't like the guy that she's going to marry, it's probably an arranged marriage if we're looking at it like that. Yeah, like she just wants to get away, right? Her subconscious mind is filling in the blank and making her childhood friend the reason that she gets out of there. But in reality, her conscious mind wouldn't want that because because she wouldn't want her best friend, her childhood friend, to get in trouble on her behalf, right? Her subconscious mind filled in that blank, right? So I want to believe that while not a lot of things in the dream are under her control, right? The underlying message of the dream is, right? And to your credit, Scruffin, I think the underlying message of the dream is she wants out of the marriage. But subconsciously, again, her subconscious brain made it so that basically the subconscious mind filled in the blank and just placed her childhood friend in there. But what she really just wants is just something to get out of it, right? This is exactly that leads into my argument why I think the wedding is a red herring overall, because it's not her biggest nightmare to be married to this guy. I don't think it is. Right? I genuinely don't believe that being married to this guy in an arranged marriage is not the biggest nightmare. there's clearly a bigger fear, and that's her fear of heights and her fear of falling. That is taking precedent over the wedding, because at no point does the wedding or anything that Baku did trigger the mind's door. What triggered the mind's door was her falling. The wedding had nothing to do with it. At no point did anything relating to the wedding open the mind's door. It was her falling. Which I think lends credence to my theory that, again, the wedding in and of itself is a misdirect. It's just something that's happening in real time, in the real world, that plays into the dream. It's a backdrop to what is essentially the nightmare's goal, dropping her to her death. Again, the whole wedding is just a backdrop. It's not even a misdirect. It's a backdrop. Because again, at no point was the dreamer threatening to drop her from a freaking tall-ass height. Just threatening to take her out of the wedding. And when Baku stopped him from taking her out of the wedding, no door showed up. She was disappointed, but no mind's door opened. The mind's door only opened the moment that Crow Nightmare picked her the fuck up and, well, not even picked her up, bent the world and made her fall through the damn mural. The birdcage was around the church, right? Oh, no, that was the sensor. That birdcage that you're talking about, no, that was the sensor that Baku placed down. Like, I literally just saw it. Because I still have it. The birdcage was what do you mean? You're talking about the blue lasers, right? Or was there something I missed? Or the blue grid? Yeah, the blue grid. No, that was the sensor. That was the sensor that Baku put outside the church. Because when he walked through it, it got tripped and then it went off. I don't think that was not a nightmare doing. I think that was the sensor. Because if that was still there, then it would have stayed around as opposed to disappearing. And then if like Baku, they would have like it had like Baku try to like fly into it or something, and it would have hurt him or something. I think. The sensor only goes off after he lands by it, though. Maybe I misread that? I'll need to look at it again. I'll literally leave this open until they shut off the stream on Monday or Tuesday. So I'll have to look at it again. But from what I thought I saw was that I thought that was a sensor trip. She did exit the area of the cage. She did. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Because I'm looking at the nightmare right now. The bird nightmare. I think this one has no obvious reference to it. Right? Because, like, I think we made the correlation that Gun Nightmare was kind of a reference to Vice. And then Bomb Nightmare was a reference to Build, but I don't see a clear reference for Crow Nightmare. I don't see a clear writer reference with him. Unless it's Emperor. Unless it's Kamen Rider Emperor. You can rewind the stream now? Yeah, I can, but eh. Here's the funny thing. Well, I don't want to say a funny thing. But yeah, we're coming up to the scene where they fly around, so we'll have to see if she like even touches that. But again, I want to believe that was a part of the censor. Because again, it felt weird that they had something that they didn't allude back to, but I could have missed it. Oh, my throat's on fire. Wait. Oh, no, that was an energy field coming out of the Crow Nightmare. Maybe we'll see next episode. Okay, the world is turning. ZEZTZ is going into the sky, hanging on by a tree limb. Yeah, there's no cage here. We're waiting for the bride to fall. Wait! Okay, that's interesting. The whole world was upside down, but she came falling forward. What the fuck? At the moment the door opened. No, there's nothing there. I'm literally looking. He's soaring through the sky. I don't see the cage still. Like, I don't see anything. No, No, there was no force field there. I'm waiting to see if it shows again. He's flying through. catches her, deposits her on on the things, and then the crow comes in. No, there was no cage. There was no cage. I think Zero already knows that the bride is the dreamer. After Baku wakes up and tells Zero he believes the dreamer, he says, "It seems." No, I mean possibly, but I'm more of the belief that that Zero doesn't know that much either. And it was more of his way of saying, it was kind of more of his lead in into saying that you need to learn more. That was his way of saying, hey, you need to learn more. I don't think he truly knew. Because even when he pulls up the graphic, he doesn't express. When he pulls up the graphic later, after Baku records the friend, he doesn't question it. Questioning if Baku was sure. Okay, so possibly yes, but if you look back, once he gets that information, he doesn't question it again. Right? He thinks pretty much there's at no point does Zero say anything that like would make Baku further question. If anything, he's still feeding him this is exactly part of a secret agent is about. He doesn't hit him with the are you sure about that? He doesn't hit him with that. So I don't think that it was a question of no. I know you were saying name. I know you were saying that to Kiwis. I know. I was just stating my opinion on the fact. But I think that it was more like I was just stating what my opinion was on that. I understand if you were talking to Kiwis, that's what it is, but I figure I should weigh into because again, this is a discussion. This is the discussion. Why did the door open after she was safe? It's not so because again, my whole theory is again, this is me planting my theory. It could be something totally different and I'm misreading it, but this is my theory. The door opened. Once the door is open, it can't be shut again. That's what I think because if she had caught him, if he caught her, I should say, if he caught her and put her down, logic would dictate, oh, door should be closed again. No, the whole point was to trigger the fear of falling. She was falling sideways, but I remember how like weird dream physics could be because remember she was falling through the sky. But it's not so much wait. Wait a minute. Fujimi didn't care about explosions. They were just a metric of fulfilling the twisted version. So that would lead to the fall being a twisted version. No. What if we're reading this wrong? What if she actually has a fear of flying? I mean, it doesn't check out. It's kind of a joke. I don't think it checks out. But what if in fact she has a fear of flying? And then on top of that, her fear of flying and also a fear of falling. Because I feel like if the nightmare had picked her up, and then they went flying through the skies, I think that would have also been part 2. It might be a little more complex than what we thought. It's not just that she has a fear of falling, but she has an overall fear of flying. So if she's off the ground for a prolonged period of time, that could open the second door. Instead of an impact, it could actually be being in the air for too long, which adds to the fear of falling. Right? It could be either or, because here's the thing. If we want to establish a pattern this early, I'm going to believe that this is a trauma response. The nightmare is trying to feed off her trauma. And if I were to go just based off of the clues that we get for the preview for next week, I'd have to believe that the trauma is her falling from a tree. Maybe she has aviophobia. I actually believe that, Kiwis. That is actually the theory I subscribe to, or at least now that I subscribe to. Because at the first, I thought it was fall down and impact. The fact that the nightmare can fly actually just leads me to believe it's not only just that she has a fear of falling, she has a fear of flying as well. So I believe that next episode, it's not so much about her falling through the sky. She's going to, the crow nightmare is going to grab her and fly off with her And the fact that she's soaring through the sky is going to terrify her and open the next door. He has a Plague Doctor mask. The Plague Doctor mask, I think it's just because he's supposed to be a nightmare, obviously, and he's a bird nightmare. Though it would be an interesting way to tie into what is said at the start of the episode, that like nightmares are kind of like a disease, right? So it would be funny if that's how they tie it in, but I think that's just a coincidence that he's a bird nightmare. I think it's just a coincidence. I don't think that particular one is that deep. But I will say, I will state that I am leaning towards the fact that she's aviophobic, that she has a fear of flying and a fear of heights. So the fear of heights, the fear of falling, that's the first one. The second one I believe is going to be a fear of flying, because here's the thing. I had to think about it, and despite the fact that this is kind of like marketed for a American audience, they're not going to be they're still not going to get away with her hitting the ground. Right? Like, they're not going to fucking make it show her hitting the pavement. They're not going to they wouldn't even do that even if it was just being transmitted to Japan. They wouldn't do that, because that's kind of messed up. So, if we take it another way, it's going to be that she has a fear of flying, or at the very least being up very, very high. So, ultimately, it's going to be a mixture. That's why the nightmare can fly, right? Because obviously it takes her up high flights, and then drop her. It's a double whammy. You open the door, takes over. That's why there's only 2 doors. It's a trauma response. So because she was traumatized at a young age from falling from a tree, it's easier to corrupt her. Because if you look at Fujimi-san, he believed in the police, which is why I think like it took longer to break him. But considering we're dealing with someone who dealt with a great trauma, so I think that's because there's less doors. So that means that for Baku to stop this, he's going to have to act fast because he's only got 1 door left. Now, something that you just said, don't they need her alive to let the nightmare possess her? Things in the dream, so she dies, I don't think if it happens... okay, so here's the problem. If she dies before the nightmare can take a hold of her, he can't pass over into the real world, because at that point the brain's... right? So no physical harm can come to the dreamer until after the nightmare takes over. So obviously she's not going to die in the dream, right? Like, basically the nightmare can't allow that. So all he can do is trigger that, and then pretty much the way I would see it is if she drops her, Baku flatlined. Yes and no. Yes and no. I'll explain why. When they put the oxygen mask on him, remember that there was that particular aspect where he, how do I put this? Because remember, there is no way of saying how long time passes in a dream, right? So when he flatlined and they put the oxygen mask on him, he stopped drowning, right? And then obviously Capsum, the ZETZ driver, when he puts it on, it happens at the same time they tube him up. As soon as they put the breather on him, I believe that's what happened in real time. Obviously, we don't know how long time time passed in real time, right? Because again, we don't know how long time passes in the real world and shit. But he didn't truly die, right? He was flatlining, but he hadn't fully copped in because they tubed him up, they oxygened him, they pumped him. So he didn't truly die. So I don't think it's a case that for something gun related, maybe that's a general nightmare thing. Here's the thing, I feel like Baku's dream was a little inconsistent, right? As a matter of fact, I never really got down to like piecing together what Baku's dream was, because at some point it becomes like he's getting shot down, and then it becomes, oh, you can never help anyone. Like it became fomenting that fear. And then when he gets the driver, literally the gun nightmare is threatening Nem with a gun. So it's like I never could really piece that together. It was kind of all over the place. So I can't really say what that is. But I don't think his fear was of drowning. The drowning, I think, was because he was flatlining, right? He couldn't breathe, which is why they tubed him up. And then all of a sudden he came out of the water, he could breathe now, right? He didn't really have a fear, right? He was being chased in a dream, and then when he became cognizant, he suddenly like manned up. But then like obviously like, but there, I don't think there was a true fear there. It was the fear of not. Oh wait, no, that's right. The fear, literally saying in a dream, it's the fear of not being in control. That's what it was. It was the fear of not being in control. No, his dream was that he was never going to do anything. I don't believe that. I think it was that basically he didn't have any control. That's what it was. And then when he realized he was dreaming and his lucid dream trigger kicked in, again he still couldn't do anything. Right? He basically that like he had no control, and the fact he had no control because basically the nightmare planted it as you're running from you pretty much, it was a delusion. The fact that he could control his dream was a delusion in and of itself. He had no control of anything that was going on because that plays into the fact that he wants to help people, and then everyone tells him don't do it. So in a sense he had no control. So that kind of played into that, right? Though I think there's something to be said that Baku's dream was kind of different in the fact that he himself opened his own mind door, right? Because when you really think about it, Baku, I think that's what makes him different. He opened his own mind door, and he didn't become a nightmare, which I think is why he ended up becoming Zets. He has agency, but I feel like even a lucid dreamer wouldn't even know what the mind door is, right? So he stumbled into that, and by doing that, meant that he could operate on a higher level, which is what ultimately led him to become an agent, right? Because once he achieved that higher level, no, someone pulled him. No, 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 no. I'm not. Okay, I'm not discounting the pull. I'm not discounting the pull. But what I'm saying is because he opened his own mind door and walked in, he achieved a different level, which I think was what qualified him to be the agent. Because once he achieved that next level, that's when the door pulled. Now, I don't know who pulled him in. I mean, you could probably make an argument that it was Zero or maybe it was Nem. But like, once he achieved that different level is how he became an agent. Which, like, actually, now that I think about it like that, maybe that's what will eventually lead Nem to becoming an agent herself, is that she has to achieve that higher level. So that could mean within the next maybe 10 episodes or so, she could be threatened by a nightmare. And somehow, because she's been learning things from Baku as time goes along, like, remember how she reacted to when he brought up the mind doors in Fujimi's dream? She's learning more and more about the dreams, and I think that's how she achieves that next level, if we're going to add to that theory. What's with that white hand that shows up with mind doors? The white hand. Who is the girl in the opening that's on the other side of the door Nox was? I actually didn't notice that because there was so much happening in that intro that I couldn't piece that. I didn't notice that hand. I thought the person on the other side of the door was Nem, right? But apparently there might have been something I missed in the intro. I am definitely going to have to piece that together because I was so tripped out by the intro that I didn't piece that together. So there was something there that I missed. Yeah, there's a lot of questions here. She looked older. I will need to look at that. I missed that. Again, there was so much happening in that intro that I wasn't I couldn't piece it together. She had long hair and looked older. Yeah, I missed that. I thought it was Nem I was looking at. I didn't realize it was moving so fast because it was so trippy. But yeah. So let's go ahead and put a bow on this because we've been going for pretty long. We're like what, an hour and a half now. But let's put a little bow on it. So my prediction: there was a shadow being Zet's punch that looked like him. I mean, if we're going by the leaks, it could be I think someone called him Kamen Rider Yez with two Z's. Yez. I don't know if that's that thing. That OP had way too. Yeah, that would need a proper dissection. But that's unfortunately we've already gone over time that I more than I longer. I kind of want to go for just an hour. We've been going for pretty long. We've been throwing out knowledge, speculation, and everything, and that's literally what this show is about. But I think we need to tie a nice little bow on this. So just to like go ahead. Hey, we have an OP finally. Absolutely. But let's go ahead and tie a neat little bow on this. So my prediction for next episode. My prediction for next episode is that, again, just to recap, I do believe that the wedding was a backdrop. The Nightmare will attack again and try to abscond with her and fly to try to trigger her second door. And obviously, I don't believe this particular Nightmare will make it to the real world. I don't believe that this is happening this time. He is destroying it inside the dream this time. I do believe that. But that's how it's going to end. He's going to thwart the Nightmare, end it, and that's how I think episodes 5 is going to go. But I want to hear your predictions in the comments of the VOD or in the chat if you're still here. I'd love to hear your predictions as well. I always read the comments to every video I upload, and every VOD video as well. I always look at those. So I'm interested to see what y'all's theories is. But that is my theory. I'm sticking with it. I do believe that I state that the wedding literally triggers nothing about the Nightmare. It's literally all about her trauma. And her trauma is falling from a great height. So that will definitely play into next episode. So we'll definitely have to wait until next week. And next week is a great. Next week is a big one. Next week is a big one because next week we're finally getting the 5-episode VOD. We're finally getting an archive. So literally, we might actually be able. I don't know if we'll be able to do it the day of, but we got to do something where we dissect. We got to do something. I don't know what we're going to do, but we have to look through those 5 episodes and try dissecting every little bits and pieces that we may or may not have missed once we get the 5-episode archive. I want to believe. I don't know if we'll do something. I'll think about it. In your region, they just make it normal videos. That's fair. But we'll definitely have to look into possibly dissecting it a little more once we get that VOD. But for the time being, my theory is the Crow will try to drop her from a great height. And meanwhile, in the real world, we'll learn more about her trauma. And then Baku uses that knowledge to save the day. And that ends our 5-episode arc. I don't know why it's different with Weird Live stuff. I don't know. I could not tell you, man. I don't know the system. I just use it. So that being said, guys, let's wrap it up here. It's been an amazing night for Zets fans. I'm going to go ahead and give today's episode a solid 9.5 out of 10. I'm going to give it a solid 9.5 out of 10. Not quite a 10 out of 10, but it was still a damn good episode. Like, I don't think I think after the bar we set up last week, it's good that we kind of lower it down a little bit, just because we're setting up. Because obviously that's what it is. The first part is literally the setup. The second part is the execution. So I think it gets a 9.5. I think it's going to be a good time. I will be live again tomorrow around 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. We'll be looking at Gozuger for this week. right now they are looking to finally be bringing the story back. It's been a few episodes, but it looks like they finally found their groove with Gozuger. Definitely, last episode was a really good one, so we're going to be talking about that tomorrow night, tomorrow around 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. I will have a new schedule out on Monday, but it's pretty much going to be the same schedule as last week. I'm just going to change the date on it. Nothing really new. We're not really doing anything new this week. We're just going to keep it with that. So, Fallout London Wednesday, Saturday Arma, Saturday night the ZEZTZ-udan, and then Sunday afternoon the Gozudan. So hopefully you guys will tune in for that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I'll be going forward. I will be actually posting announcements or like like the notification ones where it says stream will happen at such and such time will show up in your sub feed. So if you haven't subbed yet, by all means do so. I'm not really good with these engagement things, but that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the Kamen Rider ZEZTZ-udan for this week. I will see you guys tomorrow for the Gozudan and on Wednesday for Fallout London over on the Purple platform. And until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you're watching the VOD, I ask you once again, please leave in the comments your theories for episode 5. I'd love to hear them. Until then, this has been your boy Callsign Henshin coming to you live from the year 2285, reminding you that the future is in your hands. It's up to you to seize it. I will see you all next time. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Peace!